I don't know, do you have a 20-minute limit on your camera?
No.
I do. It sucks.
Really?
I probably need to get a new camera. Yeah. Every 20 minutes I need to just go back and like
What?
it. Yeah.
That sucks.
I heard it's because
This is what
actually there's this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we're on record. I'll say again, just such a pleasure to meet you finally.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, great to hear.
It's yeah. Maybe just a quick funny story. It's just
Okay.
I mean, it's mind blowing for me how this happened.
Okay.
So, quick story that I published a video just a few days ago, which I thought I had permission to use a certain list of items, and turns out that person was not telling the truth, apparently, because it was your list.
Yeah.
And I knew you have a YouTube presence, and,
Right.
and there's similar themes to your channels, and people started pointing out. It's like, hey, do you know that this is
Okay.
Jesse Enkamp? I'm like freaking out. I'm like, damn, I screwed up.
Look. If anybody copies my stuff or steals my content, then I got these crazy karate nerds all over the globe. They will email me as soon as they see anything pop up, and they will go hunt that person down. I don't even do anything about it because I always know that a fan will take care of it for me.
That's exactly what happened. I was impressed. I posted on Reddit. I'm active on the martial arts Reddit scene.
Okay.
And the only 2 comments I got initially were like, "Do you know this is just?" Whoa. I'm like, okay, and then lucky enough, you wrote a comment.
Yeah.
Like, yes, this is my comment.
Yeah, because somebody emailed me like
Emailed you already?
Yeah, like YouTube fraud or something like this, and I was like, oh shit, what's that? So I opened the email and it's like, hey, do you know this guy's plagiarizing your content? I'm like, what? Okay, and then I checked it out, and
but then you were very cool about that, and actually really like what you wrote, because I don't stumble upon that often, honestly. I do use, like, when I do editorials, like you know, video essays, what they call.
Yeah.
I use sometimes footage from someone else, just like snippets, and I think it's like, this is the world we live in. This is like, some people use my content, I use their content. It's not like I'm just blatantly using their whole video. And if somebody uses my content, I'm like, no, it's like, as long as it's not 100% video, and I'm like, whatever. And I felt like you were open to that. You were like, you didn't take it as an insult, but some people do. Like, they're like, oh, you used my picture like, of a kanji I painted. I'm like,
right.
Okay, sorry.
No,
So
I think
cool
if you have that kind of mindset, you cannot survive in today's day and age of social media, because there is basically nothing private anymore, right? Everything is open, transparent, and if you create something and put it out there, you have to live with the consequences. And if you cannot handle that, then maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
so,
true.
And I think that the purpose of knowledge is not to have it, but to share it.
Yes.
Because that's when it becomes wisdom.
I agree.
And so I am happy to share all of my content, and I've been doing so in my blog especially, which is where that text came from. And I've had this blog for over a decade now, and I see my articles and my work pop up everywhere, even in magazines, without any credit. Crazy. And they're pretending like they wrote it, but at the end of the day, I also use, for example, photos that I find on Google and stuff that I know a photographer somewhere took. So it's a give and take kind of thing.
I think credit is due. I think credit is supposed to be there. It's too bad the credit doesn't get there sometimes.
Yeah.
But one way or another, just to wrap up the story. So when we connected, I was like, this is not the ideal circumstances to connect under, but I was like, I'm happy like we finally connected. You know, I thought about you for a long time, and I thought that sooner or later, one day we'll bump into each other. I'll connect with you. I'll connect up to you, and then I thought, for a moment, maybe I should just fly to you, to your place. You know, and, ask you to do a collab.
Yeah.
And then 2 days or later, it's like,
we meet.
Published it on the video on Friday.
Yeah.
And then the next day, actually, we're here in London, Bellator 223.
Yeah.
And I'm filming behind the scenes, and I see this guy who really looks like similar to you, and then I see your brother.
Yeah.
Same surname.
Right.
On the T-shirt. I take out my phone. I'm like, hey,
is that him?
And you're there. I'm like,
it's the stars aligned.
Yes, very much. So just like it's almost off the subject, but I think it's an incredible story. So
I think it was meant to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we do have somewhat limited time because I know you'll need to catch the bus to airport.
Yeah.
So there's already we made some arrangements to meet later, a few weeks later. So we'll have a chance to have a longer talk.
Yeah.
But a few questions I was really interested to ask.
Sure.
So I know a little bit of bits in here about you, but I definitely don't know the full story.
Yeah.
I think the part which resonates with me is you're a traditional. I hate that term, but traditional martial arts. Practitioner. So karate.
Yeah.
But then I saw you did an MMA fight as well.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
Yeah.
Your brother is a pro MMA fighter, and you are questioning karate on some levels, but you're the karate nerd. You're in the game, or at least it seems like your heart is full in it.
Sure.
So can you tell a little bit about how's everything in there?
That's a very big and broad question. But in essence, I believe that the martial arts is like a mountain, right?
Yeah.
And there are many different paths that lead to the top. And one is called Aikido, one is called karate, one is called judo, kung fu, Wing Chun, MMA is also one path. And the funny thing is that the higher you get on that mountain, the closer the paths get to each other.
Right.
Because ultimately there is only one moon to be seen when you achieve the summit. And that's the same for all of us. Meaning at the higher levels, all the martial arts have more in common than not. And it's only when you're standing at the bottom of that mountain that all the paths seem so distant from each other. So I believe that what brings us together is far more important than what sets us apart.
Yep.
And it's the underlying principles of all the different martial arts that you have to kind of understand and approach in order to see what we have in common, rather than just looking at the surface or the technical aspects. It's more of the underlying governing principles that I believe are important. And once you've mastered those, then you can basically train any martial art and it will feel like your martial art because you pick it up this fast. So I've done everything from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Wing Chun to Capoeira. It doesn't matter. To me, it's all karate because I see how it relates to what I already know. But of course, it wasn't always that way. When I started, I thought this is the one and only true best martial art in the world. It was kind of like a religion, and I had to defend it from people who said that shit doesn't work, And today I'm like, maybe that shit doesn't work. But I still love it, and it works for other things that maybe your martial art doesn't work for. So I believe that the main goal or idea behind what I do is to see that, first of all, we have more in common than most of us might think, and also to study the old is to understand the new. And people who especially practice a lot of mixed martial arts are only looking forward. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? But there's nothing new under the sun. So maybe by looking at what people used to do, you can figure out stuff that's been lost and then rediscover that and apply it to gain a competitive advantage. So I love studying the old, the history, the culture, the terminology and language and all of this, especially of karate. And then I try to see how can I apply this today. So I'm bridging the gap between the old and the new. And that's my whole philosophy or approach to the art.
Yeah, my brain is almost processing that right now because I really like what you're saying, and there's so many things popping up in my mind. That whole war between martial arts, especially online. It's like this works, this doesn't work, and people are taking positions. But what you said about, so I was familiar like with the metaphor of the mountain, of there's different ways to the same mountaintop.
Right.
But actually, that subtle thing you pointed out, I never thought about that. That actually, the closer
they converge.
Exactly, they actually become closer to each other.
Yeah.
That's like I almost have to.
And then here's another part to that. Sometimes the best way to see your own path is to climb the mountain next to yours, because that's perspective. To me, that's the whole main purpose of cross training.
Right.
So it's not just a different paths, but maybe even different mountains. And I believe that the main thing is not the style, but the teacher. I can take a cello lesson or a you know, I can go play chess with a chess master, and I will learn about martial arts or karate in that lesson. Because the underlying principles, not just of martial arts, but of mastery in general, are all the same. To be great at anything is to be great at everything. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a principle, because that's the definition of a principle. So I'm always trying to look below the surface, and I never judge something on face value until I know what principles that govern this type of martial art or behavior that I see. And I think that's a more mature way of looking at the martial arts compared to how I used to look at it when I thought karate was the one and only best martial art in the world. So that's just my philosophy.
No, I like that a lot. And there's one point I also wanted that came up from what you said for me. Even these days, I don't remember which video I posted on Reddit, or actually I have a Facebook group where there's a lot of people who have a mindset like mine, but some people come in to try to defend their martial art there. And what I noticed in those conversations is like pretty much always. And funny enough, you mentioned like those parallels with everything, and I see like a parallel with, let's even racism. So I'll start with actually, I'll start with racism. So let's say people or homophobia.
Yeah.
But let's say racism, people are hating, let's say a black person.
Yeah.
And then I would ask that person, so how many black people do you know personally?
Right.
99% of the time it's going to be like zero or something very vague.
Right.
Same with martial arts.
True.
The people who are, let's say, a very fanatical person who like loves his specific martial art, which is more based on tradition or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, jiu-jitsu is like evil.
Right.
And MMA people are really like, they have a bad mindset.
Yeah.
And I can see through that. They probably don't know even one MMA fighter.
Yeah.
They probably never did jiu-jitsu. And it's like, how can you really criticize something and have such a strong opinion about something you never even tried?
Yeah.
So
exactly. Seems to be something, you know, in our DNA maybe, some tribalism kind of thing that I think we should try to evolve past.
Absolutely.
Is that a Viking shirt?
It's actually John Kavanagh's thing. It's Viking Trek. See his giant on the back.
Ah, straight blast. Okay, cool.
He's bringing in this mix between, I think, a very well-designed fitness program together with some martial arts aspects. Use that more as a fitness means.
That's what they do at Mjolnir, right?
That's actually the program of Milner.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was there.
So you might have tried Viking Trek.
Maybe I saw it.
You saw it,
but I didn't try it.
Yeah, that's it. That's
okay.
Exactly so he's bringing that to Ireland.
Okay.
And that's why I'm wearing this flag. I'm like, with Viking Trek. So, anyway.
Makes sense.
Again, small world. It's funny you just directly popped the right name. So yeah, the question. Oh, I'm still sleepy, but I absolutely have to ask it. Yes. So, my question is, what was the waking call for you? Because I've been there too. I've been the Aikido is the best.
Yeah.
And many people are brutal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had my share of things which started to be like, oh wait, something doesn't align.
Right.
How did the questioning start for you?
Well, I think that first of all, critical thinking has always been encouraged because I grew up in a martial arts family-owned school, which was run by my parents and my brother. So that's all I've ever done or all I've ever known. And we didn't just have karate. We had many other martial arts. And as I started exploring those arts, I started seeing the similarities. And I knew immediately that trying another martial art made me better at karate, not worse. It didn't take time away from karate. It actually added something to my karate. And that surprised me because I started gaining an advantage against the other people in the karate classes because I could apply a kimura, for example, when we got down on the ground, and they had no idea what that was or how to defend against it. And I love winning. So I'm like, what else can I learn? Oh, I'm gonna try that and that and that. And ever since that day, I've tried all kinds of martial arts, but my main focus is always, how can this help me improve my karate? I don't go and practice Jeet Kune Do because I want to be good at that, but because I want to bring something from that to karate, because when you do something for a long time, you tend to get blinded by it. So, because you're so used to it. So you can try to maybe, hopefully, rediscover principles in another martial art that were already present in your martial art, but you couldn't see them because you had that unconscious incompetence.
Yeah.
So you rediscover it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You bring it back and realize it was here all along. I just couldn't see it.
Yeah. Absolutely. You remind me of a principle I really like. I think initially I bumped into it through looking at Ido Portal's work.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was explaining that there's 3 different kind of zones of learning. It's like first where you can't do it at all. You see something you can't do it at all. The second one is you can kind of do it, but it's tough. And the third one is when you can do it really well. And you become a master, and it doesn't challenge you much.
You know what? This is a very old karate concept called, and maybe you recognize this, shu-ha-ri.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Shu-ha-ri are the 3 stages of mastery of anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of like learn the rules, break the rules, make the rules.
Yeah.
And that's the evolution of or progress of anything that you're learning, not just the martial arts.
Right.
But that's usually what we refer to.
That's very cool. Actually, I was familiar with the term. I never realized it's actually the same.
Yeah.
For me personally, what really excites me, and I think which is crazy, is that people tend to stay at the 3rd one. It's like they master it, and that's what I picked up. Hey, good to see you.
Du har med allting ner, va? För jag tänkte checka ut.
Ja, jag har allt. Ja.
Har du ett kort?
Ja, jag tog ett kort så jag tänkte vi har varsitt.
För då lämnar jag in dem nu.
Men hörru, det ligger i min...
Du hade lämnat dem i...
Ja, jag kunde inte ta dem för att du var ju där. Och vaxet också.
Ja, precis. Den har jag i min resväska.
Okej, tack.
So the 3rd stage, people become the progress. This is what I got from Ido. Is that the progress starts to slow down dramatically. You plateau or you very slowly progress, but people feel comfortable at that level. It's like, I know everything, I'm not challenging more. It feels good for them.
Yeah.
But then progress slows down.
Yeah.
And his vision is that, and actually then I read some scientific articles, that's actually, apparently that's how the best masters of different realms reach mastery, like the exceptional level, is because they always train not what they are good at, they always train what they're bad at.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful philosophy.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the main points of any traditional martial art, because if you look at the Japanese characters for martial art, it's Bu, Do. Bu means the martial and Do is the arts. But correctly translated, Do means the path. So it's not the destination, but the journey. And that whole process of character development to becoming the person or the martial artist you always wanted to become, I think the key there is to, what was the word you said?
Which one? Where? When?
I forgot the point I was making.
We spoke about mastery, 3rd level, that you always have to practice what you're not good at.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, in order, I believe, to reach that point, it's about orienting yourself towards your weaknesses or fears rather than relying on your strengths, because you're only as strong as your weakest link, right?
Yeah.
And if you want the shortcut, you will only practice what you're good at. If you want the true path, you practice what you're bad at. Until hopefully one day as you arrive, you're not bad at anything, you're bad at everything now.
Yeah. I like that a lot, and just something that keeps coming up in my mind as you speak. You mentioned that phrase "stars align" in the beginning. It almost feels like that moment when I look back at my story. So I was very deep into Aikido, started questioning it, became what's the right word? Just kind of resenting. I became quite negative about it.
Right.
I'm not proud of that moment of my life.
Yeah.
So I was publicly just. It was like a war between me and the world. And now I left Aikido. I'm starting to practice MMA, and now I'm starting to come to a place where I can start to appreciate it. But I'm still kind of very careful. I'm like about going into those waters. But then meeting you and listening to what you're saying, it just feels like that's, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that pill.
There is a famous quote that at the end of our exploration, we will arrive back at the point where we started and see it with new eyes.
Right.
So maybe one day you will open your Aikido dojo, but it will be a completely different understanding Who knows?
That would be very interesting. I was again resenting that idea because some people would be like, "Oh, you're the guy who should like reinvent Aikido." And initially I tried, and then I thought, "Okay, it's not a good idea. I'm not the right person. I don't know enough, especially outside of Aikido."
Yeah.
But who knows?
I mean, the biggest compliment that I get when people look at my videos or read my books or come at my seminars is, "Hey, that doesn't look like karate." And they keep saying that. And I have to constantly prove, yes, this is karate and you know this. But is that whole process of, the BFO, the blinding flash of the obvious, that somebody has to kind of open your eyes or shock you to that reality and shake you a little bit and say, hey, this is what you're actually doing. And that is what you think you're doing. And then kind of find that path between those two realms. And I think that's the purpose of a teacher. If you don't have a good teacher, this will be very hard.
Yeah. So many questions I would want to ask, but to make sure we fit into time, I have one last on my mind.
Yeah.
Kind of a open one.
Okay.
So you have your online presence, and obviously you're connected with many martial artists through the whole world. And from what I noticed, you do some, at least some public questioning of martial arts. Like, okay, so like the karate war.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sure I imagine you had your clashes as well. Like just mentioned, some people are like, oh, karate. This is not karate. What you're doing. Or whatever. So out of these, in this whole state of war between different martial arts, different mindsets, what frustrates you most? What do you bump into continuously? Where like, guys, look at that, or look at this. It's like just like, what would be your message?
Oh wow!
As a peacemaker, sorry.
Well, you know what grinds my gears? Fake posers, people who post photos or slow motion videos because they can't do it fast, or stand on a cliff or a rock and do a fancy move, and everybody thinks they are doing it right because they cannot see the subtle details that differs good from great. And for example, just the structural alignment of how somebody positions their whole body as they're standing in their fancy Instagram photo. And I can see this person has no idea what they're doing, and they are getting 10,000 likes or whatever. Because most people out there don't have a clue either, just like the person doing the posing, right? So I feel like, in general, the level of martial arts understanding or knowledge seems to be low. Or the people who actually know things, they're not coming to the surface. They're not being seen, maybe because they don't want to, because they don't want that attention, which is quite often the case. The best guys are the ones you've never heard about. Or it's because they don't have the know-how. They don't know how to shoot a video, upload it to YouTube, and then promote it or something like that. Which is why a major part of my work is to seek out these exceptional teachers, try to extract nuggets of wisdom, and then share that to the people on behalf of that instructor and on behalf of all the people that I know would benefit from knowing this, but that connection just doesn't exist. And that's why when I started my blog 10 years ago, when I was living in Okinawa, the birthplace of karate, I decided to call it Karate by Jesse, not the truth of karate, because this is one man's perspective. It's just my point of view. I take my experiences from learning from a lot of people, because I just love learning, and I try to just share that in as many ways as I can, and whoever benefits, awesome. I see myself as just a transmitter, not a source. And that's my whole philosophy when it comes to that. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, at least in the beginning, but...
Yeah, no. Whatever you're saying is gold.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's what I have to say.
Again, endless variations of what we could go to, but it sells my mind that we're going to meet soon enough again.
We're just starting to unfold.
Yes, exactly. So, but as I said, for me it really feels like perfect, right time, right place for this conversation. I really appreciate it. So, just YouTube is so vast, it's impossible to know everyone. So for people who have not bumped into you, how can they find your channel or your
Well, YouTube is just one of many things I do. I don't consider myself a YouTuber or no, definitely not. I just started shooting videos seriously 2 years ago. Okay, so but I've had my channel for 10 years. So my main online presence is my website, Karate by Jesse, Jesse, not IE, .com. And then of course I promote my content through YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook and all of that. But I think that you shouldn't be attached to a specific platform, because then you're not in full autonomy of your work. You don't own it properly. And I love to own my own stuff because I love to be creative. I love to be an artist. And I love to have that freedom to express myself however I want. So I don't want to limit myself to being a YouTuber. But that's just my perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That perspective. Well, cool. So I'll officially make it a wrap. Thank you.
Cool. No, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Really awesome.
Thank you. It was really fun. Nice chatting with you.
Same here. So, subscribe, like, share.
Hit that smash button.
Yes.
Elbow that smash button. Headbutt that I mean, subscribe. I never actually say that to people because I find it so cheesy.
I do it very, very rarely.
No, my philosophy is if somebody likes it, they will subscribe.
I know.
I've never subscribed because somebody asked me to. If they ask me, I will not subscribe on principle because I'm not going to do what you tell me to do.
Subscribe,
Yeah, now you told me. Now I can. Exactly.